Hello there everyone, Dash here again with yet another devlog video for Disharmony. In this video, I bring both good and bad news. Let's start with the bad ones. Like I said I would in the last video, I went to Malta once again. It was a pretty nice trip overall, and I got a lot of work done on my laptop. However, as my luck would have it, my desktop PC decided to break on me when I got back home. I'm not entirely sure what happened to it, but it won't turn on whatsoever. I thought it might be an issue with the power supply, but it still gives power to USB devices that are hooked up to it, so it's a bit of a mystery. I turned it in at a PC repair shop and they said it would take about a week, if not longer, to get it fixed. In the meantime, I have to stick with my school laptop. This thing has the processing power of a rotting potato, which means it takes about 3 times as long to get anything done on it. Because of this, Casper, one of the playtesters and a close friend, is helping me edit this video. Thank you! Also, in order to make sure everything goes as smoothly as possible, this video is mostly, if not entirely, scripted, which is the first for the series. With the bad news out of the way, let's take a look at what's been happening with the game's development. First of all, I'd like to go over some leftovers from the last video. In case it wasn't obvious, that video was, rushed, to say the least. I finished editing the video at around 1 or 2 AM, and I had to catch a flight at 6, which was at an airport that's about 2 hours away. Needless to say, I was in a bit of a hurry with the video, since I wouldn't be able to upload it for a whole week if I didn't upload it that same night. So, first of all, here's a few work-in-progress screenshots of Zephyr's introduction. Second of all, I'd like to show a program I bought. This is Pixel FX Designer, a tool that makes creating visual effects very efficient. Just messing around with it is quite fun. You can change a lot of variables by moving things around, and you usually end up with a pretty cool result with a bit of experimentation. I haven't made anything too exciting with it myself quite yet, but here's a few example files. I quite like this Doctor Who inspired vortex. This tool is going to be rather useful for later parts of the game. Also, on a somewhat unrelated note, I've been playing a lot of Clone Hero for the first time in a few months. I thought this was a good idea since I think it's good to compare my rhythm game mechanics to what more professional people have been able to create. I wanted to show some gameplay, and I couldn't really think of any great songs that won't give me a copyright claim, so here's some music from Homestuck. I'm playing with all taps since I don't currently have a Guitar Hero controller. To be completely honest, while Disharmony's graphics aren't nearly as flashy, the gameplay itself stacks up surprisingly well, all things considered. The quote-unquote charts in the demo aren't that great. Seriously, I don't know how I didn't realize how out of sync a few of those segments are, even without lag, but it's responsive, and I find it quite satisfying getting a long streak of notes. However, playing Clone Hero reminded me of a few things I'd like to add. First of all, sound effects. Missing notes currently lacks impact. If you've been following the series, you might remember episode 2 in which I recorded guitar sounds with Reaper. I'm currently planning on using some of these in the battles. Second of all, sustained notes. The fact that they're missing doesn't necessarily bother me, but they would make the flow feel a whole lot better, I think. Now, like I've already mentioned several times, I went to Malta once again and met the dev team. It was pretty great. Like I said, I got plenty of work done. Most of it might not be too interesting, however, as it's mostly story progress. This means I've been slaving away at some cutscenes, making sure the continuity stays consistent, stuff like that. Thing is, I still don't want to spoil too much of it, so I won't show every single detail. Here's a quick summary of what happens. After meeting Zephyr in the forest, he encourages you to go to the tavern in Whiteridge. There you can find Ash, passed out drunk by the counter. Zephyr tells you to sleep at the inn on the other side of town. There, Tay has a dream, which gives him a clue on what to do. This prompts you to go talk to Ash, and after some shenanigans, you end up having to duel her, in order for her to help you proceed to the next area. And that's kind of where I'm at with the story for now. The only mandatory story bit left for White Ridge is the guitar duel with Ash, and the cutscene afterwards. There's still plenty more things to do with the area, but my point is the area is mostly done, at least the mandatory parts. The duel basically acts as the area boss, and it's gonna take a while to complete. I began charting the song about a year ago actually, so it's about 75% complete. You might wonder why it's going to take a while despite all the progress, and well, it's because of the process I have to go through to chart these songs. This is what's known as a timeline in Game Maker Studio. You set a moment, basically an animation frame, for an action to take place, then write your code in there to create a sequence of events. This is useful for things like cutscenes or consistent patterns. It basically works like this. On frame 0, execute code X. On frame 60, or a second later, execute code Y. This is how I chart any and all songs in Disharmony. On frame X, create this note. This is a tedious process. First, I have to calculate the amount of time between frames by looking at which note is playing and the BPM of the song in question. I then need to call a script at the appropriate frame to create a note. Then I repeat that process for every single note in any given song. Stuff like the Bad Apple theme is easy since it's a short song in a 4/4 time signature. The dual song for Ash, however, while still in 4/4, is about 2.5 minutes long, with a fair share of rather complicated sections. Yes, the area is mostly done, but the things that are left are going to take a while. Because of this, I might take a break from White Ridge for a while and move on to some later parts of the game. Not only to make sure I don't burn myself out, but also to make these devlogs a little bit more interesting. I mean, we're on episode 6, and we're still on the first town after the demo. I wouldn't be surprised if some of you are sick of seeing this area. This obviously doesn't mean I'll never show White Ridge again, but shifting the focus for the sake of variety for a few episodes might be ideal. Oh yeah, one last detail before we end the episode. You may have noticed how some of the character portraits look rather plain. Ash doesn't change her expression in this scene whatsoever, and Zephyr's portrait looks just bad. Details like these aren't nearly finalized yet, so don't worry about that. Ash already has plenty of expressions ready, I just haven't added them to the game yet, and Zephyr's portrait is just a very rough mock-up. And with that, I think it's about time we end this episode. I apologise for the slight delay, but there wasn't much I could do about my computer breaking. I hope it won't take too long to get it fixed. I still think this video has had a decent amount of content, all things considered, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. So thanks for watching, and as always, have a good day.